if you want to pause this so I can shed light, because that's a pretty big thing, what we just did there.
Yeah.
And it haunts me to this day. You told me to double stomp your face on plywood.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, this fucker knows how I wrestle.
Yep.
You know, like, I can't whiff this. Like, this is a big deal.
Yep.
So I gave everything to it, and I really regret that, knowing that you're a human being. You know? Like, I probably wouldn't have said no, but I wouldn't have done it as hard as I did. Because I can imagine at that moment, you don't know when I'm coming. You don't know when to brace for it, anything like that. And, like, I could have crushed your skull.
Yes.
Like, that's full body weight on the back of your head.
So I'm going to be completely honest. Normally, I like to be a tough guy on these situations. And I have always said, do whatever you want to me. To everybody that I ever wrestled. I don't, like,
right.
I'm going to hit you. So fuck me up, please.
Yeah, clearly it was how you did that back bump off that picnic table. Like, that wouldn't have been me. Like, you would say shit like that.
So with this one, that fucking sucked.
I believe it.
Dude, whenever I felt the feet, and then my head hit the plywood direct, like it was right in the middle of my fucking forehead, dude. It felt like that chunk of my head wasn't there anymore.
Oh my God.
It felt like it was rubbed off and it was blood and it was a hole in my head on the fucking plywood. And then I get up and I look down at it and I don't remember who it is, but somebody immediately.
It was JP.
He points to the spot because my head got, like, what I felt was skin ripping. I wasn't bleeding somehow. I don't know what it was, but like it left a mark, an indent, something on the plywood. And JP immediately goes, it was right there. Yeah. Like, that shit sucked.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, knowing what I know now, I would have never done the way that I did it. You know, I would have, it wasn't worth it. You know, at the time, it felt like it was. It felt like
it felt like it was worth it to me too, though. Like, I was fine with the fact that you did that.
Yeah, was it worse than the glass pane in your head hitting the back of the table? Really?
Yeah.
But even if it wasn't worse, the long-term effects and the possibility of how bad that could have been, it's not worth it in any way. Like, I'm not kidding. I could have crushed your skull. I could have broken your neck. I could have broken your orbital bone. I could have you could have severely got fucked up, and I mean that in the most sincere way.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter because look, we're already past it.
Right.
When I rewatched this, when I knew we were doing this, you know, I rewatched this and I was like, I forgot all about that, and like my stomach dropped. Like I just felt so bad as a human being doing that. But at the time, it felt like, you know, like
it was necessary.
But like
it felt like it was
right,
necessary.
It's just like knowing, like, that's something that kind of like haunted me. Like, I'm like, we're gonna talk about this too, and like I just need him to know that, like, how bad I feel about that, because, you know, like, obviously with my history of concussions, and just like, you know, because then also you had said that you had forgotten a couple things in this match, and coincidentally, they were after that moment.
That's true. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah.
That is true.
You got fucked up from that, and you don't even realize it.
Right.
Yeah.
That is very true.
I'm glad you guys had the rest of this conversation, actually, because it makes sense of this all now. Like, this, what you guys are talking about is like the double-edged sword of backyard wrestling. Because would you say that move that you did, it's called a double stomp, right? You're saying I wouldn't have done it that way. Was that the right way to do it, like, professionally?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so before you even go any further, and I'm not saying this to call anybody out, why do motherfuckers care so much about working the left when they're also willing to do something that when you look back, and you even said it, I could have killed you, right? So it's almost like you want to have your cake and eat it too, because it's like we are trying to do this like the right way, but because it's in this environment, there's a lot of wrong things we're allowed to do.
Right.
What is the like overall feeling of that?
I think it's because of the fact that like backyard wrestling had such a stigma of like trash wrestling that, you know, it's like, I want to know, okay, like this is the right and wrong way to do this. Like, I know as an American, I drive on the right side of the road, you know, like that's just the right way. Yeah, anybody can drive on the left side in oncoming traffic, but you're just going to get more detractors of saying you have no right doing what you're doing. You're driving, you're putting people at risk, right? But in a moment like that, one, as Rick said earlier, there's that toughness. You said, you know, you wanted to play tough. There's always that. when we were.
I mean,
18.
I gotta say I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm like, oh my god, don't do that.
Right.
Like, that was my favorite thing ever to see shit like that. But it's just silly to me.
But like at the same time, though, there's the aspect of wanting to pop the boys,
and that's what I was going to say. So you hit the nail on the head with the environment.
Yeah.
Like quote, it's that the people that were there and what they understood about what wrestling was is the methods that you had to use to get over with them. Mm-hmm. So what they know as wrestlers is work the left and all that shit. And whenever you prove you can do that, the next step is, what can I do that they wouldn't do or maybe wouldn't be willing to take? And whenever they see it, they're going to react in a manner that says, I would never fucking do that. I don't believe you guys would.
In this grand scheme of this television show that takes place in all these different universes, I know that I have my continuity within myself of what my character does. And at that point, I felt justified in what would my character do.
Hell yeah.
Given the
it's
opportunity.
like a fight and
like with sick. Like I wouldn't do that with Super Phoenix. Yeah. Like I knew, sorry to cut you off.
No,
I knew Falkland and Sick Rick hated each other and there was a lot on the line. And we both had to look like we were fighting.
I mean, you hit 3 moves in a row off a ladder. Like, that's not very wrestling style steps.
Yeah. You had to kind of
and then that's why the stomp happened, because the first one, the 450, electric pop. The second one, moonsault, pretty good pop. Third one, Jeff Hardy snorts coke. Kind of giggled a little bit. They were like, oh, he does snort coke, and now he's down there. And I'm like, well, now that we've taken it this far and they're giggling, tell him to jump on my fucking head. We can't have them laughing at what we're doing.
It's either worth it or it's not worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
But like also I think...
But you're saying it's not.
It's not worth it.
You're saying it is.
It's not worth it from a human
I think you are.
But like he's saying too, like when you're in the moment in front of the boys,
because it'd be like, putting an animal out of its misery. It's hard to do. It's like it feels wrong.
Right.
So like to step on the head of another human being feels just so inhumane.
Right.
And I totally get your perspective. I guess asking Rick is more like, because of the moment, it's like, it's absolutely worth it. It's crazy to think that so much of this is worth it because we didn't die.
Right.
Like,
I'm saying it's not worth it in the grand scheme of I'm 32 years old now and I'm still wrestling, and one of my best friends could have really gotten hurt. It's not worth it as far as the life as Steve Schneider and Eric Keller is concerned. In the moment, Falkland and Sick Rick, it felt completely...
And you were in that character.
In that moment, it felt right. Just knowing what I know now, 32 years old, not 18,